Okay, so for the last couple years, right, the whole AI conversation has pretty much been dominated by three huge names: OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google. But here's the thing: while we've all been watching these giants, a new contender has quietly stepped into the ring. And it's not just competing. On some of the absolute toughest challenges, it's actually winning. This quote from XDA developers just nails it. If you think you've got the AI landscape all figured out, you might want to redraw your map because things are changing, and they're changing way faster than anyone thought, all thanks to this open weight model that is seriously punching above its weight class. So let's meet the challenger. It's called Kimi K2.6, and it comes from a lab in Beijing called Moonshot AI. Now, this isn't just some minor update. Kimi is what's called an open weight model, which means you can download it, run it yourself, and it is posting scores that are genuinely making the big established players sweat. I mean, just look at this benchmark. SweBench Pro is not some easy abstract language quiz. It measures if a model can solve real, messy GitHub issues in complicated code bases. And Kimi's score, it's just stunning. At 58.6, it's not just playing in the same league. It's actually beating the latest from OpenAI and leaving Claude's last version way behind. This is the test for agentic coding, and an open weight model is now at the top. That's a huge deal. So you have to be asking, right? How is this even possible? Well, the secret isn't just about being smarter. It's about a really clever architecture and this idea that Moonshot AI is obsessed with: stamina. You know, the ability to work on a complex task for a long time without completely losing its train of thought. So first up is the architecture. Kimi uses something called a mixture of experts, or MOE, design, and it's brilliant. It's like having your cake and eating it too. The model has the massive knowledge of a 1 trillion parameter model, but for any one thing it has to figure out, it only uses a tiny piece of that, about 32 billion parameters. So you get the brains of a giant model, but with the speed and the cost of a much, much smaller one. But the real game changer here is how Kimi deals with memory. See, most models have this volatile context window. Once it's full, old info just gets pushed out, and the model can get lost. Kimi, though, seems to use a persistent memory system. Think of it like an external notepad. It remembers what worked, what didn't, and even the ideas it gave up on. That lets it keep a steady, solid pace for hours and hours. And you can actually see this stamina in the real world. Moonshot tracked a 12-hour, completely autonomous coding session where Kimi was optimizing some software. The progress graph wasn't a smooth line going up. It was a staircase. You see these long, flat parts where the AI is just experimenting and learning. And then, bam, a huge jump when it has a breakthrough. That is exactly how human developers work. You explore, you get stuck, and then you have that aha moment. It shows a much more realistic way of solving problems. Okay, so with all this promise, it was time for a proper test. No more little benchmarks. We had to see what would happen if you put this new challenger, Kimi K2.6, in a head-to-head battle against the reigning champ, Anthropic's brand new Claude Opus 4.7, on a serious, real-world engineering project. And the task they gave them was an absolute beast. The team at Kilo had both models build a whole workflow orchestration API from zero. We're talking mind-bendingly complex logic where getting it right is everything. Stuff like making sure two different workers can't grab the same job at the same time, or recovering when a process just dies. If you make one little mistake, the whole system just collapses. So both models got the exact same instructions and were just let loose to work on their own. And both of them came back and said, "Yep, I'm done, all my tests passed." But the real story here wasn't just about who finished. It was about this fundamental trade-off that every single developer faces. How much are you willing to pay for perfection? When it came to just pure correctness, the results were crystal clear. After digging through the code and throwing every edge case at it, Claude Opus 4.7 scored a really impressive 91 out of 100. It built an enterprise-grade, super reliable piece of software with only one real bug. Kimi K2.6, it scored a 68. A good effort, for sure, but definitely a step down in reliability. But then you look at the cost, and this is where the entire conversation just gets flipped on its head. Kimi K2.6 delivered its code for just 19% of the API cost of Claude Opus 4.7. I mean, let that sink in. That is not a small difference. We're talking about a cost saving of over 80%. Suddenly, that $68 doesn't look so bad, does it? So what does that 23-point gap really mean? Well, it means real bugs. Like the job claiming system wasn't always consistent. The live event stream, well, it didn't actually stream live events. And this is a big one, A worker could say a job was done even after its security lease was up. That's a major failure. These aren't just little quirks. These are the kinds of things that cause massive headaches in a production environment. So all of this leaves us with a really fascinating new choice. For the first time, we have a real open-weight model that can compete at the very top, but it offers something completely different. The question isn't just which AI is the smartest anymore. Now it's what kind of tool does my project actually need? And this really breaks it down perfectly. With Claude Opus 4.7, you are paying top dollar for top-tier, enterprise-level reliability. It's the safe bet, the correct choice for those mission-critical systems where a bug could be a disaster. With Kimi K2.6, you're getting cutting-edge stamina and just radical cost savings. It's the strategic move for high-volume work, where cost is a huge factor, and good enough is okay, or maybe where you have a human who can come in and fix that last 25%. So really, it all boils down to this one question. For your next project, is an 80% discount worth a 25% drop in reliability right out of the box? There is no one right answer here, but for the first time, we actually have a real, meaningful choice to make. And that, well, that might just be the biggest breakthrough of all.